Hey guys, what's going on? CryptoVatsik here with another technical analysis video for you. As always, nothing of what you're about to see is considered financial advice and they are just my opinions. I would really appreciate it before we get started. If you do enjoy this content, please like and subscribe to the channel. Okay guys, today we're going to be covering GRT, the graph. And first things first, I'm just going to drop down to some key levels on this high time frame. The one that I just noticed right off the bat is this clear zone of resistance that we've got here. Okay, it did form a basis of support, post all-time high into the bear market. This is where GRT wanted to form a base. So even though it's just part of that correction downward, it's still a level to clearly respect, and price is still respecting it. And this is quite a wide zone, I will say, between about 50 to 60 cents. So that makes up our macro resistance. And you can see we've even just taken a stab at that earlier this year. As we break through that resistance, I would also be wary of just this local high up here where price stalled out and began to wick on the high time frame and then dump from there on. So just levels to be wary of as price moves into the bull market. Let's drop down to the weekly. Okay, so what I want to take a look at here on the weekly is the more recent price action that we had out of accumulation. And what I consider accumulation on this chart is essentially anything within this blue range. This to me is our accumulation range. And so this price action is about a 14-month duration of accumulation. And clearly it led up to this massive short squeeze. So that's fine. But short squeezes don't tend to hold their strength, and you do typically end up seeing quite a significant sell-off. So we're clearly back into that accumulation range now, and that's fine. It's nothing to be concerned about in my opinion. If anything, it provides another opportunity to load up for the longer term. But what I do like about this short squeeze is that it has broken some serious high time frame resistance, really this resistance that held true for this 14-month accumulation. Okay, we've now stabbed that resistance, and yes, now we are trading back underneath it. But then in theory, the next resistance that you would be looking to take a stab at would be further up on the chart as strength comes back. And these things do take time. So you'll see Bitcoin leading the way now, nearly making all-time highs here, but altcoins will lag. And that's what we see time and time again. So it's a matter of having patience. But if we do look at this, theoretically, we're still making higher highs on GRT. Okay, we had our bottom here back in November, December 2022. We had this squeeze up to this high, took out some of this inefficient balance here, really testing that newfound resistance, and then just basically a steady sell-off until we made our next higher high in comparison to our bottom. So, what's the definition of an uptrend? Higher lows and higher highs. So although it's looking a little stagnant at this time, I'm still seeing higher lows and higher highs and resistances being broken. So if we start to look to form another higher low here, some sort of high time frame higher low in comparison to the previous lows, then I see no problem why we can't reclaim this current resistance that we've got on our accumulation range high, and at the very least take a stab at this high again, start to try and test this macro resistance and ultimately make a higher high. And this one has some serious potential for major returns if it does take off. From market price, we're talking something like 10x, 10 to 15x if you do think that this does end up going back to our all-time high here at just under $3, okay? But from market price at 15 cents, knowing that altcoins will rally after Bitcoin, so the party hasn't really gotten started yet, for altcoins at least. You can just see it from Ethereum just lagging, looking like a stable coin currently. Alts will have their time, so either you believe in GRT or you don't, but structurally, for me, this asset is still just in accumulation. I will admit a lengthy accumulation, especially when you compare it to other assets that have done really well recently. But you're starting to see some of that volume pick back up, which is interesting during this accumulation phase. And I wouldn't be surprised to see us make another low here from this kind of breakdown that we're seeing. Come back down and test this low. Really wouldn't surprise me if we did something like that. Just one more flush of liquidity. Maybe at this point, Bitcoin has made an all-time high and is really starting to rally. And then once it cools off, perhaps we see that reversal on altcoins, and then the stage is essentially set. These highs almost become insignificant at that point. And then keep in mind, we're on high time frame. This is on the weekly, so this will take time to play out. But the chart is the same as if we were on the daily or the hourly. You have that same or similar structure. Eventually, this is going to reverse. It's either going to be from this EQ or the range low. Ideally, not from the range low, because then we would invalidate this higher low here that we've got. So ideally, somewhere around this low that we've got here on that wick, or just holds the EQ where we're currently at, which it has technically reclaimed at this point. It just doesn't look like super strong price action. But in any case, you reclaim the range high here, and then we start building that momentum and that strength to tackle our macro resistance up here in red. And honestly, like I said, this has huge potential or huge return potential if we even come close to previous all-time highs. And, you know, we can start talking about previous highs here as well. And that's not even mentioning going to all-time highs. So don't let charts like this fool you. I mean, they might look boring, but when I see charts like this, I see a lot of potential, especially if they haven't really died out as a project. And this is not a dead coin. This is clearly an accumulating coin, but there's definitely little things here in the chart that it's showing to you, just maybe not as obvious and potentially just easy to overlook sometimes. So keep your eye on it. I do think it has a bright future. And as we move into the bull market here, which we're clearly seeing at the moment, altcoins will follow shortly. So trade safely, guys. Hopefully you took something away from this video. I really appreciate you watching. And if you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for the next time. See you next time.